Hiya, my name's John. I'm going to take you through an experience of some of my record collection, which is exclusively musical theatre, occasional soundtrack as well. I've always loved musicals. I always think they should be listened to in the format that they were first released. Excuse me, keep bending down. I'm picking them up off the floor, but I'm going to start with the first few. That's a one. It needs to be that end. A Boy Named Charlie Brown. Now, that's not a musical. That's not on the soundtrack. That's but I've also got You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, which was a musical that was based on it. But I just love that. That's a great little album by the cast of Charlie Brown. Peanuts, rather. Then we have A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. It's based upon Betty Smith's novel by her and George Abbott. Music by Arthur Schwartz, lyric by Dorothy Fields. So a couple of good names there. Did reasonably well. That's A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Then we've got Anything Goes, which is well, obviously by Cole Porter, one of our best and most censored composers that the world's ever known. Cameron Mackintosh's version of that from the 80s, I do believe. That's Anything Goes. And then we have a truly British, although he did go to America, Andy Capp, the musical. Just a bit of light relief there. Written by Alan Price. You might know who Alan Price is. And The Ambassador, which I believe was also a TV series as well, but that was a musical. And Lauren Bacall, Applause, set on the play All About Eve. So if you're familiar with All About Eve, it's the same sort of story. An aging actress comes back to a production, and of course the younger actress is taking over. They're the first few. The next lot we've got is, of course, Sondheim. You can't have musical theatre without Sondheim, and that's A Little Night Music, which is the Broadway cast, I think. Yeah, that's a Broadway cast of A Little Night Music. I have got another Little Night Music one, but I think I'll find it at the end, which we'll come across later. Right, this is the German version of Fiddler on the Roof. It's Anna Tevka. Now, the strange thing about this is when I got this, I played it, and of course, I knew all the words to the songs from the English version. So I've been in the production, an amateur production, 3 times. So I was singing along to it, and they were singing in German, and it made it look like I could speak German, but of course I can't. Androcles and the Lion, which is George Bernard Shaw one, which is everyone knows My Fair Lady, but there's another one of his adaptations here. It includes Noel Wisdom, which Noel Coward, Noel Wisdom, John Callum, Brian Bedford, which of course is a big comedian here in the UK. All in Love, which is a musical adaptation of The Rivals, Sheridan's The Rivals. So if you're familiar with that, that's the thing that goes there. Okay. And of course then we don't, no ways will be complete without Annie. This is the original Broadway cast of Annie. Thomas Meanham, Charles Strauss and Martin Charnin, because we all know songs from Annie. We've all sung them. There's the soundtrack. Now, the thing is with the soundtracks is sometimes they're totally different or a lot different to the shows, and that could be because of several reasons. sometimes they rewrite them because somebody, a famous star in them, needs a song, or because it just doesn't work on the. But added one of them, they do change it a little bit. Anything Goes on Panama Hattie. Ethel Merman, what a voice! What an absolute voice! We've got Allegro, which is Rodgers and Hammerstein's early production of Allegro. This recording from 1978, but it's on the legendary Broadway show collection. And then we have Anne Veronica, the English cast of that, including people like Arthur Lowe, John Inman, Ian Lavender, written by David Croft, who's a comedy writer in the UK, Frank Wells, and the music by Cyril Arnadel, I think that's the way you pronounce it. Okay. Ain't Misbehaving, great little review show. Of course, Ain't Misbehaving is the title of that, the new Fats Waller show. A great Fats Waller songs on that. That's the original Broadway cast. And then we have, sticking with the A's, Anne of Green Gables. Anne of Green Gables is a great little musical, named after the same film, and I've just noticed here it's signed at the back. Can you see that? Signed by Polly James, who's the star of the show. Polly James used to be in a TV program called The Live Birds in the UK, and also she was in the original production of Half a Sixpence on Broadway with Tommy Steele. The Governess herself, Ethel Merman, with Annie Getty-Gunn and Ray Middleton, and the original Broadway cast. And another version from the Ed Sullivan Presents, which I've not really, but there's a series of those. There's a My Fair Lady, Kiss Me Kate, there's quite a few of them that have been released, if anybody else has got any more of those. Stephen Sondheim again, Anyone Can Whistle. You've got to really listen to your Sondheims. Sondheims is really, really good. Love Sondheim. Okay, right, so let's move on to the Bees, starting with Baby, the musical. Very little known about that, but it's a great little musical. Nice little cast there. It's Baby. Bashville, music by Dennis King, lyrics and adaptation by Benny Green from The Admirable Bashville by Bernard Shaw. So another George Bernard Shaw, I think that's by Bernard Shaw, will be the same thing. Maybe I'm wrong. So that's Bashville. The Bar Mitzvah Boy is the next one. A Jewish boy coming of age. The Bar Mitzvah Boy. Lyrics by Don Black, music by Julie Stein. So there's some great. Don Black is the person who wrote the lyrics to Andrew Lloyd Webber. He collaborated with Andrew Lloyd Webber on Tell Me on Sunday and I believe Starlight Express. It was that which should still go as well. I'm sure it was Don Black, and The Phantom of the Opera was Don Black. The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. Maybe it is. The thing about this is the song. It's obviously written by Dolly Parton. I'm just trying to find the song that bear with me a second. No Lies Club. If you remember, Dolly Parton starred in a film version of it and sang the song "I Will Always Love You," which of course ended up in The Bodyguard. So there's the original Broadway cast of that. Booked by Larry King and Peter Masterson. So there you are. I think it's Larry King, the big talk show host. Lionel Bart's next musical after Oliver, Blitz, about the war and his childhood during the war. Didn't do as well as Oliver, but it's still a great listen. If you get a chance to listen to that, that's what I recommend. The Boys from Syracuse, a Shakespeare one. This has some of our best comedians in. You've got people like Bob Monkhouse in there, and Ronnie Corbett, and quite a few others. So yeah, if you'd be surprised if you look at the cast list of who started off their careers in that. Billy, which is a gatefold one. It's Michael Crawford for one. And I do have another one here, which is, as you can see, that one is signed by Michael Crawford. So that one stays in its thing. Okay, so then we have Bubbling Brown Sugar, which is another great musical, all black cast. Great musical if you get a chance to see that. Bubbling Brown Sugar. Sticking with the similar sort of thing, The Black Mikado. Great show as well. Judy Holliday, The Bells Are Ringing. Let's go and answer them then, Judy. And here she is again in another production of it. Still not answered those bells. Beyond the Rainbow, a little musical. And Jim Dale in Barnum. Okay, and just to balance it out, there's Michael Crawford in the London production, and Jim Dale, of course, was Broadway production. There's again with the signed copy, Barnum, and a signed copy of Blood Brothers, starred by Bob Dixon. The Baker's Wife, great little show. If you get a chance to hear The Baker's Wife, it's a Stephen Schwartz production. Of course, he did Godspell, things like that. So you must listen to Baker's Wife. It's a very simple story about adultery and things like that. Brigadoon, Scottish musical, Lerner and Lowe, of course, who later did My Fair Lady, Camelot, and that sort of thing. Great little production here for the 80s, but an original cast. Again, it's a show that grows on you. And The Boyfriend, the original cast there of The Boyfriend. There's another one. Just as you see, I do sometimes get several copies if I think they're interesting. And of course, you need the Broadway cast and the London cast. As in Bye Bye Birdie, which is the original Broadway cast, which has Dick Van Dyke on Veronica's very rare stage roles. Chita Rivera. And here she comes again in the London production, Dick Van Dyke taken over by Peter Marshall. But Chita Rivera is still there. Of course, West Side Story, Chita Rivera. Of course, then you have the film soundtrack for Can Can, Frank Sinatra and Maurice Chevalier. This is another one of Cole Porter's one that's to be totally, virtually butchered, simply because of the risque lyrics. Okay, so we come on to Cabaret. This is the original Broadway cast of Cabaret. And then Judi Dench in the original London cast of Cabaret, with Peter Sallis, who later in Last of Summer Wine did the voice for Wallace and Wallace and Gromit. And the film soundtrack. Again, 2 songs written in that for Liza Minnelli that weren't in the original show. The original production of Chicago from the 70s, when not many people knew anything about it, and it wasn't really a thing then. Well, I'm getting inundated now by Chu Chin Chow from China. Just a great little thing, a musical, not a lot known about it. Had a mild run in London. Carmen Jones, the Oscar Hammerstein's adaptation of Carmen, or Bizet's Carmen, which has some great songs in that. And I did Can Can earlier. Here's the original Broadway cast of Can Can. Such a different production to the film. Gwen Verdon, obviously, is in it. Right, here's my Camelot collection. First of all, we start with the original London cast: Lawrence Harvey, Nick Henson, and Can Can. And then we have the Australian cast. Now, this guy here took over the lead in England after he'd done 18 months of it in Australia. So I thought that'd be interesting to have. Full soundtrack, Camelot. I know it sounds a bit bizarre, but, and of course, oops, hang on a minute, I'm losing everything. You can't have Camelot without the original London cast recording, with an additional little flap there that tells you what the track listing is, because I think they realised there was no track listing anywhere, and they thought, oh, what we're going to do, so they took this little blue, I don't know if you can see that, this little blue bit of paper over it that has the track listings. Okay, that's the come with me. Okay, that's not better. It's another production of the same thing. That's the 1982 Richard Harris production of Camelot, which is a great recording. And then one of the most famous C's, Cats, made Elaine Page a star, only for the fact that Judi Dench was meant to be playing Elaine Page's part, but broke one of the limbs, and he was given to Elaine Page. Candide, great musical, Leonard Bernstein and Richard Wilbur. Get a chance to listen to that, listen to it. It is really good. Carousel, the original Broadway cast of Carousel, with John Raitt, Jan Clayton, the original soundtrack of Carousel, which virtually does follow that. And then we have Charlie Girl, which is the 1986 reissue of the original Charlie Girl. And speaking of the original, here it comes with Joe Brown and Anna Neagle. Some great names there. Everyone's Favourite Sea, a chorus line, some brilliant songs in that. Marvin Hamlish, of course. Bear with me. Sondheim again. Company. The London Cast recording. Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein's Cinderella from the CBS television production, starring Julie Andrews. Great little listen to that. If you get a chance to get that, listen to that. And of course, Tommy Steele decided one Christmas to turn that production into pantomime. And there it is. That's Cinderella. Catherine Hepburn on Coco. Yeah. And that, I'll stop there at the minute. That's all the A, B's and C's done. If you liked it, put a like and I'll do the D, E's and F's. I'm John. These have been my Broadway collections. Thank you very much.